Alright, good morning, everybody. Back here for another of 10 of the biggest news stories that are floating around the crypto space right now, in my opinion. First things first, obviously, this is a very new channel, so please like, comment, subscribe. You have no idea how much it helps out and lets me know what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, and where I need to go from here. Alright, so let's get into things. I got a couple of good ones for you. This first one comes from The Intercept. So they discovered that the Pentagon has a war game scenario for a military response to a domestic Gen Z rebellion, or what they later term as the Zbellion. So stupid. That centers around Bitcoin. Oh, man. So documents obtained by The Intercept in the 2018s, members of Gen Z driven by malaise and discontent launch a Zbellion in America in the mid-2020s. So they were close. It's just 2020, and they're not really using Bitcoin, at least right now. It's part of a wargaming scenario. So the government comes up with a lot of different war games and different things that could come up. South China Sea, North Korea acting crazy, stuff that's not likely to happen in real life, They reference the September 11th terrorist attacks and the Great Recession affecting Gen Z's realism and worldview. Oof. I'm a younger millennial myself, and I'll tell you what, 9/11 definitely affected my teenage years and early adulthood, and the war in Iraq and the subsequent ISIS things. So, during face-to-face recruitment, would-be members of the Zbellion I just can't stop laughing. Given instructions for going to sites on the dark web that allow them to access sophisticated malware to siphon off funds from corporations, financial institutions, and non-profits that support the establishment. Alright, I'm not to get political here, but I'm not really feeling a problem just yet. So, there we go. The war game emerges in the context of the Pentagon playing a controversial and visible role in the unfolding domestic protests against police and racial brutality in the U.S. Yeah, like I said, it's a little on the nose to be coming out right now, but hey, it's all these things. Not really a huge story. I mean, governments around the world are going to do war games and try out different scenarios. It's just funny that it emerged that they targeted specifically Gen Z. It involves using the dark web and all these things, and using Bitcoin, who are distributed worthy recipients. So like poor people. Basically, they're going that Gen Z is going to go full Robin Hood on our butts. And you know what? Whatever. Alright, moving on. Slightly more serious news. So, people are saying that there's might be a multi-million-dollar Ethereum hack. So, yeah. So, for the last week, we've been left befuddled by 3 small Ethereum transfers that incurred millions of dollars in fees. For those of you who don't know, there were 3 different transactions. I think one was like $100, one was like $150, and then a third one was like $400 or $500. What ended up happening was that thought I had to sneeze there for a second. What ended up happening was those $100, $150, and like $500 transactions were sent, but they charged themselves almost 10,000 Ethereum in fees. I think 2 were over the $10,000 mark, and 1 was in like the 300 or 400s. So, PeckShield was the firm that found it. So Wallet paid $5 million to move 35 Ethereum in one day. First one occurred on the 10th with 2.6 to move half an Ethereum. Okay, 350 was made from the same wallet again, spending 2.6, and then the next day transaction 2,310 Ethereum to move 3,221. So array of theories from the crypto community. Vitalik weighed in. It could have been a hack of an exchange where they only got partial access to the keys, so they were sending these large transactions in gas to blackmail the exchange into sending money to the addresses they actually wanted. Highly possible. Could be some whale, who at this point is probably no longer a whale, not paying attention to their gas and royally messing themselves up. Or it could have been done by someone who wanted to get back to the Ethereum community. I don't know if that's the likely answer, but no one at this time has come forward. This first transaction that happened on the 10th went to a mining pool. They actually held on to those funds until, I think, late yesterday, trying to contact the wallet owner to see if they, couldn't give some back. They're not required to in any way, shape, or form, but, 2.6 is a lot. So they tried reaching out. They haven't been able to find anybody. And of course, I'm sure the pool operators are like, no, we want that cut. So since they were the mining pool that mined that block of Ethereum, they're going to be splitting 2.6 million in between them. Not too shabby. We haven't really heard anything about the other two transactions just yet, but I imagine it's going to be more of the same. They've either already split it up amongst their pools, if they're in pools, or they're going to be shortly. Alright, so let's move on to number 3 on the list. China. Oh, everyone's got to love China. So, global competition for supremacy in digital currencies has entered a new phase. Ooh. Yeah, so China's trying to create an East Asia cryptocurrency scheme. So they are moving pretty quickly. For those who don't know, cryptocurrencies in China are kind of illegal, but you can mine Bitcoin, but you can't really use it for transactions. But basically what it is the Chinese government loves their control, and they love to make money. Bitcoin doesn't give them a lot of control. They can make a lot of money, so they allow it in a limited sense. So 10 members proposed a plan to create digital currency consisting of the Chinese yuan, the Japanese yen, the South Korean won, and the Hong Kong dollar. So they're trying to basically make a stable digital currency. Now what this will do is, one, enable digital payments, and in fact China's actually already testing this in some of their more high-tech cities, like I think Shenzhou, Zhudong, but I can't remember all 4 off the top of my head, but they're already testing it. Yep, there we go. Digital yuan in Shenzhen and 4 other locations. They're talking like they might do a full unveiling at the 2020 Olympic Games in Beijing, which that would definitely draw a lot of attention to it and potentially bring a lot of East Asian companies and people into the mix quickly. So basically what they're trying to do is increase the use of their currency internationally. The U.S. is successfully barring dollar-based transactions as a sanction whenever they want against adversarial countries, so China's trying to build a payment network that's independent of it. You want to cut us off from the dollar? Fine, we're going to make our own dollar with blackjack and hookers. Futurama there for you. So, Libra's kind of in here. They're trying to do their own separate thing that's kind of independent. It's been a lot of criticism. Like, no offense, I wouldn't use Libra. I don't want to give Facebook even more access. But honestly, see right there, digital yuan by 2022. What they're doing is you can easily see and control these transactions on the net. Like I said, China loves their control. This will give them the ability to see every dollar that their citizens spend. They can track it, they can trace it, and they can lock down any illegal activities that may or may not occur as a result of it. So, sorry about that. Apparently, I have something to do. Alright, moving on to numero quattro. Oh man, Bitcoin's had quite a week. I believe it dipped below into the 8,800s here. Ooh, that's good coffee. Dipped below the 8,800s here yesterday. It's already back at 9.5. And people are like, finally, let this be the time. Let it get to 12K. Break. I mean, Jesus, I want it to break. It's insane. So look at that. Pretty much everything's in the green. It's focused in on, 9,500. Gained about $600 in 24 hours. Not too bad. Not too bad. So, whoop, look at me clicking buttons. So, Bitcoin is on schedule. The price of Bitcoin is back in range and on schedule to break above 10,500 to 412,000. Hopefully it is. Oh my god, this is the thing. Like, I just either crash to 5,000 so I can buy more, or shoot through so all my holdings can go up. 2019 was a rough year for me. I don't know about you. I did accumulate during that year. I'm actually up on my Bitcoin investment when you consider dollar cost averaging by a decent amount. I think the average amount I spent on Bitcoin was 5,000, so I'm really happy with where my investment is, but I want it to go. I don't know about you guys, but my goal, buy a house. Buy a house free and clear. No loans, no mortgage. Just a nice, not a mansion. Yeah, I got a wife, kid on the way. Want to have another one. Nice 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I live in the Midwest. That's entirely affordable. If Bitcoin goes, if Ethereum goes, Cardano goes, if any of the other ones in the top 10 go. So, all right. But it's back on schedule, and dear Lord, aren't we all hoping? So, all right, Bitcoin hackers, they just moved another 4.1 million Bitcoin in their biggest payday yet. This popped up about 4 days ago, but it's from the Bitfinex hack that happened 4 years ago. It continued to cash out carefully, slowly, moving a little bit at a time. They're moving 4.1 Bitcoin to an unknown address. So they moved that 416 Bitcoin on June 11th. 4.1 million value, 20 separate transactions. They're kind of moving things through, cycling them around. Bitcoin is a transparent market. So for them to successfully hide this money is pretty hard. There's ways you can do it, but the problem is the amount. Being able to launder, for lack of a better term, that much Bitcoin at once is hard. So they're probably going to break it up, shrink it down, make them into smaller transactions, and then try to sneak some of them onto exchanges so they can swap them out for maybe a privacy coin like Digibyte Dash, Zcash, or something like that, and swap those around and cycle them through. Basically try to confuse and lose track so they can eventually cash out. But they've been chipping away at it. It was valued at $72 million at the time, but it's currently worth $1.1 billion. That's the thing. You have probably one of the greatest heists, most successful heists in history. You ain't got a place to friggin' spend it. Ah, well. Good for them, though. So, moving on to number 6. Oh, man. Looks like we lost it. Look at this. Alright, so this one actually came out yesterday, right around the time Bitcoin collapsed. Oof. They're saying whales. Everyone credits the whales for this up, and here's all these fun things. Look, it's entered bear territory. Look, the technical analysis says it's doing this, it's doing that. Technical analysis, in my opinion, works great just looking at the chart. But going off the chart and here are the patterns, here's how they do, you can reasonably predict things, but you can't predict real life. So where technical analysis falls short all the friggin' time is they can't predict. Bitcoin's doing great, and then 5 whales decide to sell things, and it causes half the market to panic. Bitcoin's doing bad. Cardano announces that it's going to the mainnet. It shoots up 60% and drags Bitcoin 3 or 4% along with it. There's so many outside factors that purely technical analysis, in my opinion, it's not enough. Someone might disagree with me. Some people might have made good money using technical analysis, I hope. Retraces are short and vicious. Crashes even more so. 40% down is not unlikely. It's happened before. It's happened again. But yeah, we just talked about the fact that it's looking like it's going to 1250 over here. The true answer is no one knows. No one knows. But they make for good headlines that people freaking click on. Alright. Moving on. And some good news. Some good news. India lifts ban on cryptocurrency trading. Kinda. So, this is a bit of an older article, but I included it so we could kind of like talk about how it's developed since then. Looks like this article came out on March 4th. So, India's Supreme Court overturned the central bank's 2-year ban on cryptocurrency. The RBI, the Reserve Bank of India, had imposed this ban in April that barred banks and other financial institutions from facilitating any service. So, they said it was necessary to curb ring fencing of the country's financial system. No idea what that means. I'd argue that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies cannot be treated as currencies as they're not made of metal or exist in any form, nor are they stamped by the government. Again, we're getting back to this whole control thing. So, they got it overturned. That's great. Royal Bank of India, the Supreme Court said you kind of can't really do that. So what's the Royal Bank of India doing right now? Well, they're redrafting the law, taking out the language the Supreme Court didn't like, and trying to put it back in. All is not lost, however. A bunch of Indian cryptocurrency exchanges have jumped up and flourished. I believe one's called TradeHorn. So we'll see where this goes. Getting 1 billion people that live in India access to the cryptocurrency can only drive use, can only drive adoption. So I really hope the people who love Bitcoin and specifically in cryptocurrencies in general can get this pushed through in India. Keep it legal, keep it flowing. I think honestly this will have a bigger impact on price than any of these other stories in the long term, because the more people who use it, the more people who buy it, the higher the demand goes. It's simple. And honestly, it's that KISS rule. Keep it simple, stupid. So, moving on. Ethereum 2.0, one of the most talked about upgrades that hasn't happened yet. That should have happened like 2 years ago, but will hopefully happen in the next few months. Is coming to us. But unfortunately, Ethereum miners will get little choice. Yeah. What will happen to them? Well, if they're smart, they've probably already saved up the 32 Ethereum required to run a node. Hopefully a little bit more. As we know, 2.1 mining pool just got 2.6 million Ethereum. If I was a guy in that pool, I'd take my cut. Do whatever. If I got, 90 Ethereum, I'd take 64 of them. Set up 2 nodes and take the remainder and sell and get some good money back. But yeah, of course, once it's upgraded, it's going to abandon POW. So their equipment will become obsolete. They're going to have to start mining altcoins or open a staking pool, as I said, or they can mine Bitcoin. Ethereum's time as point of work is ending. And that stinks. But they're going to have to do something because they use ASICs. So if they use an ASICs... oh, look at that. Ethereum's has been designed to favor GPUs. GPUs are much cheaper and more accessible. So they can at least... Oh, look, I just learned something new. I had no idea Bitcoin used ASIC. And that Ethereum used GPUs. Well, look at that. I learned something. I read all these articles every day. I didn't think I knew that. Well, here come the mean comments. So, sorry guys, I didn't know. But, oh man. they're worried, they're, and all this fun stuff, but, well, it's unclear. I don't think it's unclear. Staking's coming. The question isn't if, it's when. It's when it's coming. It's going to save so much power. Data, the cryptocurrency's annualized total for point is 59.31 terawatts an hour, which is equivalent to Greece. It's a lot of power. Point of proof of stake, it uses less power. You're just running a server, or in some cases, you're buying a portion of a server that already exists. Depending on how you have it set up, you can buy virtual servers that you don't even have in your house. You can literally, once this is done, you're going to be able to run an Ethereum staking pool. I looked before this because I'm interested in potentially staking Ethereum. I've been accumulating since 2017, so I'm not going to retire on it, but I got enough that if Ethereum goes to a good price, I could buy a car, pay a mortgage, that type of thing. I'm not going to disappear into a private island anytime soon, but it'll definitely help make my life easier. But in doing this, I did some research, and you can have a friggin' server for like $5 a month from some of these companies. You can purchase a remote server, install your software on it remotely, and put an Ethereum node on it, and just let it run. Everything's secured by smart contracts, so if you lose that server, you'll eventually get your Ethereum back once the contract expires and it's sent back to its original address. So they're just talking about in this article, well, what are we going to do? Where can we stake? Will the rest of the network even notice that it's happened? Come on. They'll notice. We'll notice. Will it personally affect me that Ethereum miners no longer exist and they've got to move over to Litecoin or whatever? Well, Litecoin's probably ASIC based. Move over to an altcoin. Well, that stinks. Good for that altcoin, though. We'll start seeing an increase in miners. However, I think many of them know that this is coming. They've accumulated enough, and they're just going to swap right over to staking with as little problems as possible. Okay. Wow. Coinbase having some trouble, as you guys might have known. They've got mounting privacy concerns. When was the last time Bitcoin went over $10,000? Coinbase and BitMEX mysteriously stopped working. Ooh, I don't know what happened. Come on, it's not 2017. You had 3 years to get your friggin' systems in line so this type of thing doesn't happen. And that creates a lot of uncertainty and doubt. I use Coinbase. I've had it for a long time. I'm in the US. It's the most convenient way to do it. And doing KYC on more and more and more places is just tiring and annoying. But it's starting to get a little ridiculous. So they surveyed 5,000. Oh man. Well, Joe Rager carried out a poll on Twitter for 73,000 people. Would you actually delete or stop using your Coinbase? So, hey, this is a pretty cryptocurrency focused demographic. So out of the 5,000 respondents, 66 said they'd opt out if they could. The remaining 33% would stay. I mean, like I said, it uses Know Your Customer or KYC requirements. But hey, Coinbase is in the eye of the storm after reports emerged at the weekend alleging that the crypto exchange is selling a blockchain tool that provides law enforcement agencies with superior analytical capabilities. That's got people kind of freaking out, plus their random service outages. Especially in the current political climate, it's not a good look to be seen as selling stuff to police entities. Bam, frequent outages, just like I talked about. Oh man, the exchanges previously shared the data of 14,000 clients who traded 20,000 worth of cryptocurrency or more with the IRS. To the chagrin of investors, Bitcoin people like privacy. They like the decentralization. They like the man not knowing. Basically, people like not having to pay taxes. The IRS likes having taxes paid. Unfortunately, one of these two parties has a government behind it. So it stinks. I hate it, but what's Coinbase's option here? They want to operate as a legitimate company and make money. They have to do things like this. So it stinks. I don't like it. This is why a lot of people are starting to move to these decentralized exchanges, because it just makes it harder for the government to track. So the government gets to play the proverbial whack-a-mole. Oh, and to kind of wrap things up and take the pressure off Coinbase a little bit more, they're already watching us. Might be more rampant in the crypto space than you even realize. So, oh yeah, they've been keeping tabs. Of course they have. Of course they have. Oh man, a source who's worked in compliance for crypto exchanges and Bitcoin ATMs revealed to Cointelegraph that multiple government entities have been actively monitoring users across nearly every centralized exchange and custodial crypto service provider for years. On the condition of anonymity, the source indicated that the crypto surveillance tactics go all the way back to Bitcoin's earliest days. They say these practices became a much broader effort after Mt. Gox, which 850,000 Bitcoin went missing. And some people still haven't gotten it back. Actually, most haven't. So, when it comes to keeping tabs on users, the U.S. government's favorite methodology is the Suspicious Activity Report, or a SAR. Now, I worked in the casino industry for a number of years, and I did a lot of SARs on people who were trying to evade taxes on the slot machines by seat switching, giving false information, and things of that nature. So yeah, that's pretty standard, but crypto SARs appear to operate under different standards. So in a traditional institution, a transaction needs to meet certain criteria, i.e., in a casino, it has to be either over $10,000 in one transaction. Oh, sorry, that's a CTR, not an SAR. But if you do that and you've never taken out any money with us before, that will also generate a SAR. I did a couple of them. And normally prompt state regulators to pay you a visit and look into things. So, custodial entities are legally required to file SARs for basically any suspicious crypto-related transaction above $5,000, regardless of the user's other activity. Many file for lower amounts. Entities are legally barred from revealing the reporting data to users or any member of the public. We cannot tell you we filed a report on you ever. That was the same. And entities cannot refuse to comply with these reporting tactics, because if they do, they lose their license and then they can't operate. So again, these crypto exchanges probably aren't very happy that they have to do this either. But for anything above 5,000, dear Lord, I'm telling you right now, there's probably a few exchanges out there that if it's over 5,000, they're filing a SAR. They probably literally have a computer program that automatically writes it up. Someone fills in the summary of what happened, and it's sent, because they don't want to lose their license. I would not be surprised. So reports are shared with FinCEN, the IRS, and FBI. I mean, that makes sense. Look, are you being watched? The answer is yes. You are being watched. Can you avoid it? Pretty much no. Your best way is decentralized exchanges and privacy coins. And even then, there's been articles popping up that privacy coins aren't as private as you might think. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this video. Again, please like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, because it is a new channel. I'm enjoying making these videos, and I'd like to continue to do so. So please leave me a comment, give me some feedback, let me know what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, and try to keep any personal insults to a minimum. Alrighty, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, have a good day, because you know it's Tuesday, my bros, and we got to get through this week somehow.